Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of 3 Wide. I'm your host Radney Crawford. Today we will be previewing the return to Auto Club Speedway for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, so let's get started. All right, so a couple things I wanted to point out before we get into the race weekend. I want to talk about the show. One of the main things was this most recent episode I did that came out on Monday, reviewing Speed Weeks and Daytona 500. Looks like one of my segments got put in the show twice by mistake. So basically, if you listen to the episode, you would finish the segment, and then it would just be like it started right back over and played again. So I do apologize for that. That was a mistake on my part. Just was not paying attention when I published the episode. Like I said from the beginning, this was going to be a learning experience for me, never having done anything like this before. So that'll be something new to look out for before I send out the episode each week. The other thing, I'm going to go to one episode per week instead of breaking it down over 2 episodes over the week where I do a race review and preview. I'm just going to put everything into one episode that will still come out on Mondays after race weekend. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up. I feel like it'll be better in the long run doing that instead of just constantly, putting out content, over the week where you feel like you don't have a chance to go from one episode to the next. Just going to put it all out in one and hopefully take care of that. So jumping right in to the race weekend, it is at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. The first time they have been back out there since 2020 in March, just before pandemic really kicked off. They had a race out there. So it's been a little while since they've been back at that track. It's definitely one of my favorite races to watch just for the way the track surface is, how many grooves you have. You have drivers that will run anywhere from right up against the wall, namely Tyler Reddick. This is his kind of place, all the way down to the apron, up against the grass in the corners. It's a very rough track. You'll see them going down the back straightaway. They'll be bouncing all over the place, even though I believe they did do some work back there trying to make that a little bit better. But still, it's a very rough, old, worn-out surface. And like I said, there's lots of action going on every corner. It's a fun race to watch. So I'm glad to see them back out at this track. And starting out with the Xfinity Series, one of the main storylines this weekend to watch is Trevor Bayne making his debut for this season in his first race for Joe Gibbs Racing in a part-time effort driving the 18 car. His first of 7 starts. And some more news this broke this week was Ryan Truex will also have some seat time in that car for 4 races. So it's 2 guys I'm really interested to see get back behind the wheel in competitive equipment. Ryan has been around the track more than Trevor has been in the past few years between running Xfinity and Truck Series. Most recently, he ran a full-time season for Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series last year. Ryan being the younger brother of NASCAR Cup champion Martin Truex Jr., I like both those guys. I hope they have a lot of success and are able to turn this into possibly another good, solid full-time opportunity. For Trevor, he is a previous winner in the Xfinity Series. He has 2 career wins, one at Texas in 2011, and his last win coming in 2013 at Iowa, a track they no longer go to. His last Xfinity start was in 2016 at Watkins Glen. So it's been about 6 years since Trevor has been in an Xfinity car, especially a competitive car. So this will be a big weekend for him to see how he can manage the race. I'm sure he'll have some rust to shake off, but looking forward to hopefully a big year for him. Cole Custer, from what I've seen, is the only driver in the field that is a Cup Series driver. He is making a start in the 07 car for SS Greenlight Racing. Cole Custer had a pretty dominant Xfinity career while he was there before moving up to Cup Series. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in some lower tier equipment. Not normally what he's used to driving in the Cup Series for Stewart-Haas Racing. Some fast facts for this race. The last race, as I said, was in 2020, was won by Harrison Burton, who was driving for Joe Gibbs at the time. He led 40 laps. Toyota, he was driving a Toyota then. Toyota has won 10 of the last 16 Xfinity races at Auto Club Speedway. Chevy has won 4. Ford has won 2. So Toyota has definitely had a pretty good hold on that track in recent history. One of the key things to watch this week, now when you're listening to this episode, qualifying may very well be over. We already know where the starting lineup is. Wanted to point out, I looked in the lowest starting position to win a race at Auto Club in the Xfinity Series. The last 10 races was Kyle Larson, who started in 8th in 2014. So qualifying is a pretty big deal for this track. Obviously, whoever's starting in the top 10 Saturday is going to be in pretty good position to get a solid finish and be competitive for the win. Another stat I found interesting, Cole Custer is the only driver in the field who has won at Auto Club Speedway. So it's a pretty good chance we could see a first-time winner at this track come Saturday. It'd be interesting to see how drivers like Daniel Hemrick, Landon Castle, those will be some guys interesting to watch. I feel like probably the best guy to watch, honestly, would be someone like a Justin Allgaier. I feel like he'll have a strong day. Don't know why that's just a name that comes to mind. He's had a lot of experience at this track, so I think it could be a good day for Allgaier. And now on to the Cup Series. This is also their first time back since 2020. The last time they were there, Alex Bowman won the race. He led 110 of 200 laps for a dominant day. I believe that makes him definitely a contender and one to watch, especially with him coming off an even stronger 2021 season in the 48 car. Another guy to watch is his teammate, Kyle Larson. Auto Club and Michigan early in his career were some of his better tracks, and I think it's just simply because of them being, multi-laned. You can search around, find the right grip and groove for the car. As good as he was in Chip Ganassi equipment at these tracks, it might be pretty scary how much better he is in Hendrick equipment. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out for him come Sunday. One of the guys he will be competing against, I believe, is Kyle Busch. As far as active drivers go, no one has led more laps or won more races than Kyle Busch in the Cup Series. So he's definitely going to be one to contend with. One of the dark horses to watch, I think, will be Tyler Reddick. A lot of people have him pegged for a breakout season, especially with this new car that's a little more durable. And Tyler, he loves to run the outside line, run right up against the wall. He does not mind using up his right side against the wall. So it could be a big race for him. He loves to use that momentum coming off the corner to help him carry him down the straightaway. So if he's going to have a breakout year, I believe it will start at this race. This is going to be the first big test for next-gen cars. It's not a super speedway race or a quarter mile like they've raced at so far. This is a bigger track, kind of what they will be running the rest of the season between, Auto Club, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Texas, some of these mile-and-a-half tracks. We should get a pretty good idea of what it looks like. Another thing to watch this weekend, will these new cars be the equalizer that, everyone's talked about, including NASCAR President Steve Phelps? But to know that, we'll have to watch teams like Roush, Fenway Keselowski Racing, Petty GMS, Rick Ware Racing. Those are three teams that have had pretty strong runs to start the season, whether it be at LA Coliseum or the Daytona 500 or both races. So I think we'll get a pretty good idea at how much this next-gen car closes up the field. One question I think that starts also this week is what becomes of Stewart-Haas Racing? Will their struggles continue from last year? Last year, after having such a dominant 2020 season with Kevin Harvick and Cole Custer getting a win, his first career win, Last year in 2021, they had one win for the whole team, and that was Eric Almirola at New Hampshire. Kevin Harvick did not win a race. He did come close a few times. Probably his closest was at Bristol, where he had the infamous run-in with Chase Elliott there at the end of the race. So Harvick is normally pretty good at Auto Club Speedway. He has a good track record there. So we'll get a good idea of where his season's headed. Also, Almirola, he's no slouch there either. He doesn't have the stats that Harvick does, but he is still pretty solid, I believe, at Auto Club. And also, Cole Custer coming off his technically sophomore slump year. Can he start to get a bounce back and show some of the promise we saw in the Xfinity Series, along with his rookie year in the Cup Series? Some fast facts for this race. Unlike the Xfinity Series, this race for the Cup Series at Auto Club, you will have some drivers towards the back can surprise and win the race. But the last time, it happened, the lowest starting spot was Harvick, who won from 24th position in 2011. However, since then, 7 of the last 10 winners at this track, they all started inside the top 10. 5 of those started in the top 5. So qualifying will still be a huge deal for this race. When the qualifying grid has run through, the starting positions are set, you probably need to look no further than the top 5, top 10 as far as who your winners could be and some of your top contenders. So qualifying will be very important, especially with this being, normally it's a low caution race. Last year, I believe there was 3 cautions. 2 of them were for the stages. Only 1 of them was for an actual spin out or issue with a car. So that could change with this next-gen car. A lot of drivers seem to struggle more with it. They're still learning it. The test they had, they did have drivers that were crashing at the test by themselves. So we could see some more cautions, which might change up, how the finishing order will be. That might give those guys that start towards the back, if they have a bad qualifying run, give them a better chance at getting a win. It's kind of the great unknown with this, between this new car and it being a low caution rate. It could be a different type of race out at Auto Club Speedway. This will be an interesting weekend because it could also be the last race on the current configuration. They have announced plans last year of turning this big track into just a half-mile short track with banked corners, using the front straightaway portion of the track. That was some pretty big news that broke last year. However, around the time of the Clash, they were saying they kind of run into some roadblocks. They were struggling to get the deal through, all the permits and licenses they needed to get it done. I'm sure that'll be a popular question Sunday if there's a media session, and we may find out more then. So it is up in the air more than it was last year as to whether this gets done or not. However, it is a good possibility this may be the last race on the full oval, which will be a shame because I believe that this is probably the best racing surface besides Darlington that we have since they've repaved Atlanta. Just for the fact you had, multiple lane grooves, and that definitely made for more exciting racing than we normally see at the other 1.5-mile tracks. And that wraps up our preview for the upcoming race weekend at Auto Club Speedway. Thank you again for joining me. I hope y'all are able to sit back and enjoy these races come Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully we will have these questions answered by the time the checker flag falls on Sunday's Cup race. We will pick it right back up on Monday, looking over what all went down at the race, who won, and whose performances stood out, and I will see y'all then.